Welcome to another Tableau tutorial video. I'm Weston Palmer. Let's get started. But first, a thank you to my Patreon supporters. I love the interaction and feedback. Now, whenever we have data that has state or county, I always like to do maps. I think people like to see maps and to look into them. And so let's put the state. We're going to double click that, and that's going to go into the middle just by default. We'll fix that here in a second. And what do we want to do? We're going to just put number of enrolled students just to get us started. And so this is showing most of them come from Illinois, right? It's a little bit hard to see because some of these are pretty small. So because these are always going to be in the geographical center of the state. So let's do this. Let's change. I'll be honest, I always have to come up here to do the fill in, but maybe this is to area. Nope, that's not it. Map. Okay, I clicked on the map, and so now it's filling in each of the states. That's kind of interesting. Now let's also put the count of enrolled. Let's put that under color, and so you'll see the darker, a little darker intensity. So you can see how many, most of the students are coming from Illinois, and then maybe California. There's two things we could do here. One is look at student athletes. Where do the different athletes come from to see kind of from a recruiting standpoint. This one unknown, you see that here. One of them had null, I believe. So I'm going to just right click, hide the indicator. The other thing is you could leave it there so that you can understand what's happening. Let's take a look at this. Let's edit locations. Your data, null, we couldn't find a state. So we'll say okay. And then, so there's no data, so we're just going to hide this indicator. We're going to put state under filters. We're going to select all for right now. And then we're going to do activity, sport. There we go, sport, and count. This is just like we had looked at before. What we're going to do is we're going to get a map. We're going to create another dashboard. I'm going to make this full automatic. And I'm doing all of these in automatic. If you do in yours for a particular client or for your company, you're probably going to want to do a fixed dimension so it's standard, so it looks the same on everyone's computer, or rather, because what I found when you do automatic is if you make it automatic, depending on if you have a projector or somebody's got a different resolution, the dashboard can get bigger or smaller, and it can adjust how big some of the other visuals, the maps and charts are. So I'm going to just drop the map in here. And this, you see this legend up here? You don't really need this, I don't think, because it doesn't tell you anything. You already know that this is the darker spot. That's got the greatest intensity. I am going to point out, though, when you come to layout, Tableau has added all these things for you. It's added a horizontal container, one for the map, one for the legend. In the legend, I don't know why it's got tiled there, but under the vertical, you can see here's the count. See all this hash marks? This is empty. What I'm going to do is I'm going to come and I'm going to drop the bar chart, the student athlete bar chart, sport count, under here so that it is in this vertical container. And now I'm going to come back to layout, and you can see that they're both here. I'm going to actually click on this. I'm going to get rid of this, and I'm going to expand this so that it's wider, so you can see the items. And let's see here, that's showing everything. Now what I'm going to do, there's a couple of ways of doing this. You see there's a little filter here. That's going to filter everything on this page. Another thing that you can do, and I usually do it this way, is come to dashboard. Actually, I'm going to click the filter, and what it does is it's going to create a default, or it's going to create a filter dashboard action. So I've got this dashboard action filter. Now come to dashboard, look at actions. It's already generated a filter for me. I'm going to look at this. Let's edit this. What do I want to call this? Select recruiting state. And I'm going to run the action when I select it, when I click on it. That's what that means. It's only going to be looking at if I'm clicking on the map, but it's going to be impacting the target sheets. What happens if you click it on the map is it zooms in to just that state. Maybe that's what you want. Maybe you don't. I don't want it for this exercise. And then clearing this section will either show all the values, keep the filtered values, and that just means that you click the state, you unclick it, and these values will stay the same. The one thing I don't like about that is if you click California and then you deselect it, all the California values are still shown. You don't know what that represents or what that's linked to. A lot of times I will select excludes all values. Let's show all values. I usually start with all fields and then adjust as necessary. Okay, so you select OK. I'm going to select Texas. And now this is going to show me how many student athletes were being recruited from Texas. One thing that I don't like about this is I don't like the fact that when I click on something, it changes the charts, right? So it's always moving up and down, up and down. What I want to do is I want to show all these athletes have been recruited. And then I want to show, when I select a state, just show the state, I want to compare how many of these athletes out of the total. So when I select on 13 here, well, I can't remember, it was 3 women's soccer. Was that everybody? Was that a lot of people? Was that nobody? I mean, was that everybody or was that just a small number? And so I'm going to go back to this chart here. And you can come and select, go to sheet. I mean, it's not a big deal, but we know. And I'm going to bring in, let's see here, I'm thinking, we don't need this state up here anymore. I am going to put it on, let's see if I can get rid of that. Yep. Because this is all in the same data source, the filter is going to work. Sometimes if you have multiple data sources, you have to be careful as to what you may need to add it to the detail level to get the filter to work correctly. I'm going to create a calculated field. I'm going to say total sport count. And then it's going to be fixed. Oops. And I'm going to do the sport enrolled students. Okay, the error that it's giving me is it says it needs to be aggregated. So I need to put in here count. And that should give me the same value that I have up here, count enrolled students. And what this is going to do is, as I'm filtering, regardless of what I filter, male, female, or in this case, state, it's always going to give me the same value, the same number of enrolled students. And so that is what's going to allow me to compare the selected state with the total. Select OK. I'm going to bring this up here. And right now, let's see here, what is this? I'm going to pull this off, right? And these values should be the same. I'm going to show labels. These are all the same values as you go down. Now I'm going to do recruiting. I'm going to move this over a little bit to make this map a little smaller. And now as I select a state, Missouri, it is filtering out just those athletes. You can see that it's got 41 here, 2. And what I want to do is I want to show everything. And so I need to figure out. So let's come here. Let's do the easy part, apparently the easy part first. We're going to do a dual axis. And actually, let's come here. We're going to filter on something just so we know what we're looking at. All right, we're going to do a dual axis. Dual axis. Don't worry about that right now. Well, I guess we will. We'll come to select all here. And we're going to select bars. Everything's the bars. And then we're going to synchronize. Because you can see this only goes up to 3. The one on top comes up to 55. Synchronize the axis. All right. There is 2 colors here, but this other color is hidden behind the total sport count. So to flip them, to have one on top of the other, left click, just drag it until you see the orange arrow on the right hand side. And you know that's a dual axis because this is a flat edge here. So I want to come to total sports and I want to change this color here, just to edit the total sports color. I want to change that to a gray. Apply, and we'll leave enrolled students as a variable there. Now the other thing I'm going to do is down here you can see that this number's not showing up and this number's not showing up. If you select allow labels to overlap other marks, it will show up. Now it doesn't look like it's overlapping, but there must be some padding or something around those numbers. The Tableau things, oh, these are overlapping. And so you can make it do this. So as you come to these different states, well, that one works. That one works. This one is surprisingly, it doesn't work. I don't know why that one doesn't work. Let's see here. Numbers. And if you select Illinois. So the question I have is why is this hiding all these other rows? Let me think. Okay, so this is going to be a little more elaborate, but I think the results are going to be worth it. We're going to create another calculated field. We're actually not going to create a calculated field, sorry. We're going to pick the state. We're going to left click, drop this down, and we're going to create a set. And I'm going to call this selected state. And I'm going to use this. And let's just pick California for now. That's the default, but we'll talk about that later. So we're going to pick California. Because what we want to have happen, we want to get rid of this filter here. We want to show everything, but we want the enrolled students, the blue, to only be for those selected states. So let's try this. I may have to do this a couple different times. I'm going to come in here and I'm going to say, if the state equals selected state, remember that's the set, then we're going to just show the sport. Else, I will just end. Now, I'm not sure how this is going to work. So let's see here. let's see here, if this is, all right, so what we're going to do is we're going to say if state is in the selected state. I haven't ever actually used that before. But remember, we set the state. Let's say okay. We're actually going to change this to, we want this to be a number because we want to put that up here so that the bar will change based on the state that we've selected. So we're going to do count enrolled students. And what is that giving us? Cannot mix aggregate and non-aggregate comparisons or results. All right. So we're not going to put count in here. We're just going to put enrolled students. And I don't think that's going to let me do that. Tables can only be aggregated. Okay, it's... So we're running into a problem here. We want to count the records. So we're going to put in, let's see here. So we need to have something that it can count. And this is saying the enrolled students is the table, and we can't use that. Now, we're going to select, we're just going to pick a random field in here. And let's pick, we'll pick state. We'll put in state. Okay. All right. So follow me on this. So where did I say? Selected state recruitment. I'm going to have to, I'm going to drop it up here. It's going to get a little messy. I'm going to pause. Well, I won't pause it. I'm going to pick the selected state. I'm going to drop it over here. Anytime you've got horizontal, every time you have a discrete versus a continuous pill, the continuous pills are always going to go to the right. And what we've done here is this is now saying in or out. And remember we picked, I think, California. We're actually going to change this to a measure. Show members in the set. Nope. Maybe we'll edit this out. Thought we were going to do, I was looking for, okay, we don't have that here. All right, so here's the other way of doing it. I didn't really want to do it this way because what we really wanted to do is put in count of, oh dear. We want this to be count of enrolled students, right? Now, what it's going to say is, hey, we've got a problem here because you can't mix aggregate, count as an aggregate, with non-aggregate comparisons or results. So state is, I need to make that an aggregate. So if I just put in max around here, so the max state, so each line has its own state, right? So the max state for a particular line is that state. So let me come back here. So we're going through and looking at each of these rows, and for the rows, each row, the max state for this record is Illinois. The max state for this one is Illinois. The max state for this one is California. The max state for this one is Arizona. And so what you're doing is you're really just kind of tricking the computer. But maybe I'm the one that got tricked. Because I need this to be an attribute. And put this one over. That may not have worked. It's still showing. It's still so if I'm clicking, it's still hiding. So let's move this back over to here. That's giving me what I want. It's filtering all the filtering the whole table, and so I don't want that. So I'm going to click that off, and that should give me, what it doesn't give me though, what is this? Iowa. Let's see here. What is the selected state? Oops, undo that. Selected state. So this is where it gets a little bit. So it's broken up 6 and 72. I don't want to put in and out in that one. Maybe I want to put selected state here. No. Let me try this. I don't want everything. I want just the... Okay, so this is what we're going to do. Is we're going to change this for every record if the item is in that state. So if it's California is in the selected states, you're only going to be able to force one value into the selected states. I'll show you that next at a time. But if it is that state, actually, you know what? I just do this. I don't know why I didn't do this earlier. So if the state is in the selected state set, then we're just going to make the value equal to 1. Okay? We're going to get rid of total sports count. No, that's what we want. Enrolled students. Oh, that was part of the problem, is we had it the wrong thing up there. So a selected state change to continuous. All right, there we go. And you'll notice this indicator says there's 16 nulls, and that's for those sports that we did not recruit to, right? And I bet you if you counted 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16. All right, and that's going to happen for each one. We don't care about that right now, so I don't think we care about it at all. So we're going to hit hide. And now when we come here, we've taken the filter off. Let's go to dashboard actions. There's no dashboard actions. What we want to have happen is we want to add an action. We're going to change the set value. So we're going to change that selected state. We're looking at the map. I'm going to call this select a state. To make this select. The target set, what do we want to change? Well, we've only got one. This is our data source. This is the set that we created, the selected state. Running this action will assign the values to this set. We only want one value added at a time. You may be in a situation where you want to keep adding values to the set, or where you're going to remove values. We just want to add them. And if we clear it, we want to add all the values to the set. This is kind of like, we're using this like a filter. And we're going to hit OK. And now you can see for Kansas, only 4 people were recruited for swimming, which is kind of interesting. Everybody's showing up. California, men's baseball, women's soccer, softball. Let's see if there's, I don't think we have football on here, but a little bit of everything. So now you can get, this is what I was hoping to show. And then we're going to go through and do some cleanup here. And this is a good principle to be thinking about. What data is on here that I don't need? Well, I don't need these axes, because I'm not going to go from this line. I'm not going to go up and say, okay, where is it? Is it 51? Is this 47? Where is that at? Because that's not important. But more importantly is you've already got the numbers, you've already got these labels, and that's what you're really, first you're going to look to see how big the bar is and then what the value is. So let's come to the sports count. We're going to hide, come in here, we're going to hide that label. It hides both of them. We're going to get rid of the sport. We don't need that. Sport label, come under here for the lines. Going to come and columns, get rid of the grid lines. We'll leave the 0 grid line just so it gives a little bit of separation. And I think we're going to get rid of maybe we'll just get rid of the header because we don't really have any. And in the pane as well. So now we have a nice crisp clean chart over here on the side. What we need to do is come back over here, drag this down a little bit if I can. Nope, undo that. Need to do it on this side here. All right, so the line is gone. Sometimes I just need to, actually, I may get rid of this other line here. I don't want that line. So we don't want the lines on the panes either for the columns. No. So that sometimes gets screwed up. All right, so there we go. That'll be end the video for today. That's a pretty cool little thing to show you, or how many recruits came from a particular location. I hope you'll check out these other cool videos that I've selected for you. Let me know what you think in the comments below.